We are using our set of double sweep cleanouts up in the driveway to access the line for Saulsbury Street. Looking at our access here and some of this prior trenching and installation that has been performed, the ground has sunk significantly in this area and caused damage to the cleanout hub, our portion here that sits on top of the piping. So we are, at the very least, going to recommend repairing and replacing these cleanout heads, but also recommending a proper backfill be performed in this area to stabilize these cleanouts, as well as, given their positioning in the driveway, installing load-bearing cast iron protective cleanout caps for these to prevent additional further damage. First, we are going to access our cleanout heading out towards the city connection. At about 35 feet out from our cleanouts, we do have a previous PVC repair here, most likely in the driveway, where we do have root intrusion working its way through a PVC clay joint connection. PVC joint connections are a closed system with that Fernco rubber gasket surrounding them. So if we are seeing root intrusion at this location, then that Fernco and this joint connection have failed. This is a structural and leakage concern we will recommend for repair. From about 45 to 50 feet, we do have a small low spot in the line. It does not appear to be holding any significant debris, and being further away from the house, it's more likely to flush out than to work its way back into the property if some debris were to build up here. Not seeing this as a significant flow restriction at this time. On our way back with the camera, we'll run some water to test flow through that area. At about 74 feet, we have a crack here that we are going to recommend for repair. The crack itself does work its way completely around the circumference of the line, which is more concerning, more serious than a small partial hairline fracture. This is also what is occasionally referred to as a beam break. That crack is centered directly between two clay joint connections. And what is happening at this crack is the section of clay here is being torqued and twisted due to pressure from the surface. That's spinning this section of piping to a certain extent and allowing a crack to develop in the middle section of the piping. Recommend for repair. Running from about 84 feet to 100 feet, we do have another low spot in the line. Previous low spots have been about 3 feet and 5 feet long. However, this low spot is approximately 16 feet long. Given some of the grading issues we are seeing throughout this piping, be it either full low spots where the piping is dipping and bellying, or flat sections where debris can slow, we may recommend further repairs be taken to properly grade the entirety of this clay section of piping. With several low spots in the line, each low spot will slow down debris, preventing movement through the pipe. At the very least, we are also going to recommend this low spot from 84 to 100 to be repaired. Another 7-foot low spot from about 107 to 109 feet, also holding heavier debris as we saw in the 16-foot long belly. Having two back-to-back bellies of more moderate to severe length will especially slow debris working its way through the line. At 186 feet, we have a more serious break in the clay wall. You can see a crack with separation, root intrusion, and displacement of the clay wall, running from about the 1 o'clock position to the 5 o'clock position. This is a serious structural compromise to the piping, given we're seeing a lot of movement and separation of the clay wall. Another crack with separation of the clay wall at about 200 feet. Again, seen as a structural compromise. Recommend for repair. There we go, now we're flying. City tap connection present at about 224 feet. We've got some heavier water running to help push us through this last section of the line. It does appear like we have a little more significant low spot, as well as 2 additional cracks in the last about 25 feet. We've got some of that water running now, but we're going to go ahead and shut that off. And in part 2, we will continue with our assessment coming back.